Leanne's guest is here to talk about legal issues, particularly liability issues when it comes to sport.
I think you're going to find this very interesting, Graham, as a dad who spends a lot of time in the rink, and David Hollingsworth is a dad who's in the rink a lot of the time too, but you also play hockey.
I do.
And there are a couple of cases currently in Ottawa involving minors, 2 young teenagers, separate incidents, and you're wanting to chat about those cases and the ramifications for everyone in sport.
Right. Well, those are 2 cases, Leanne, and I'm not involved in either of them, but as I understand it, there were 2, they both resulted from hockey games where you had a hockey player who did something on the ice that to another player that caused them to be charged criminally. And so that sort of raises this whole question of liability when you're playing sports, because I think we all understand that if you step onto a soccer field or you step onto the ice, there's a pretty good chance you're going to assault somebody or you're going to be assaulted.
Or that you're going to get hurt.
You're going to get, and you know, you're going to be hit with a stick and you're going to be body checked. And these, but you can't go suing for these, or people aren't going to get charged for these, because these are inherent risks that we voluntarily assume when we engage in a sport.
There are elements in both cases, though, that make you incredibly interested in watching how it unfolds. Right. And that relates to video, videotape. Right. Now, so many sports, almost all of the games your kids play now are videotaped, and that's for coaching purposes, but it also does come in when there is a situation like this.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like when there is a situation like this, I mean, often before there was video, you would have to rely on the accounts that people would tell, and the evidence is always tricky and dicey, because you're going to have one team that's going to say, oh well, it was just a soccer play or a hockey play that unfortunately something bad happens, and then you're going to have the other team is possibly going to be saying, well, it was an egregious act of violence. And so it would be very challenging with the evidence, and how, you know, the courts are reluctant to sort of charge or convict somebody who just laid a body check, because that could change sport altogether. And so really, there were really tricky elements of proving these cases. And now with the advent of video everywhere, and I do have 3 kids playing competitive hockey, and I think every single one of all 3 of their games was videoed this year, that could change the landscape in terms of the evidence available in this type of claim. And hopefully it changes the landscape for educational purposes and deterrent purposes as well.
So what are your overall thoughts? And I know you say it's very different when you look at sort of, what is it? What do you call your league? You're not the Old Timers League. What's your league?
Oh, I'm Old Timers. Yeah. Men's league, rec league.
Okay. So in the rec league, this ends up being another kind of whole discussion, and you say it's common, and people are asking the questions all the time.
Right, yeah. You regularly hear people on the ice saying, listen, I've got to work tomorrow, tone it down a little bit. And, you know, a lot of, in the men's leagues I play in, people don't wear full cages and you get your teeth knocked out. What do you do about it? I mean, if it's a puck that flips up, this happens. But if it's somebody who's being reckless with their stick, you may feel that they owe you an obligation, because that falls outside of these inherent risks if somebody's doing something reckless.
You just answered my question. I was going to say, because you're a dad, you're a player, and you're a coach, where does this leave you in terms of your own comfort level with, you know, sport being sport and liability, you know, as a lawyer?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. As an athlete, obviously, I like the spirit of the game, and but as a parent, I want my children to be safe, and I want the players that they're playing with to be safe. And so I really think that the you know, awareness and having video to teach and to keep people in line, I think it's a good thing.